Last week, I uploaded a speed reviews video where I talked through all of the makeup I bought in January and the month of February so far, and gave you all an update on my thoughts on everything I had been using sort of behind the scenes. And one of those items was the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette, this beauty right here. And I promised you in that video that I would do a separate full review of this product. So here it is. Now, because so many other people have already done like 5 looks, 1 palette, 3 looks, 1 palette, or inspiration looks with this palette itself, I'm not going to be doing that today. Instead, I'm going to take a slightly different approach, I think, than I've ever taken with a single product review here on my channel. First, I am going to just roll some footage of swatches. This palette swatched absolutely beautifully. Every single shade in here seems like it will perform perfectly. I've used a little over half of the shades and those ones have performed beautifully. So we'll talk about that in a minute when I get to the performance. But just so you know, all of the swatches were very consistent, very beautiful. So I have a feeling that the performance I'm talking about here today carries through across the entire palette, every single shade. So now that you've seen all of those gorgeous swatches in the sun and the shade, I want to talk you through performance of this product. After that, I will also be doing a little swatch party here live with you because I want to kind of dream up some color stories that I'm excited to play with. So I'm going to be swatching like little quads or little quints or little trios from this palette that I'm super excited about. So performance first, then swatch playtime. So first of all, I just want to touch on the packaging because every time I've seen this packaging online, it looks really cheap and kind of crappy to me. And now that I have it in my hands, it feels so incredibly luxe. It is such a beautiful, thick acrylic. This is a way more gorgeous, reflective, beautiful cover than I expected. And the packaging just really matches the ethereal vibes of the shadows in here. I think it's so beautiful in person. I don't know why it always looked so cheap to me online, but I was very quickly proven wrong. Also, I don't want to flash the lights at you too much, but it does have a really gorgeous, huge mirror at the top there, extremely high quality, big enough to do a full face of makeup for me, so that's super nice. Now, this color story is stunning to me, stunning. I said in my speed reviews video that this palette and this color story has truly stood the test of time in my mind in the makeup industry, despite how fast things change, how quickly things kind of go in and out of style. I feel like this palette has held its own. And I know that's a bold claim, and I know some people probably strongly disagree with me there, but I really think that it's held its own. It has some pastels in here that are really popular right now. It has shimmer finishes that are way ahead of their time. I mean, today they feel how shimmers should feel, but imagine when this released many years ago, how outstanding these shimmer shades would have been. Like this nebula shade, I mean, all of them, basically all of them. They're all essentially like 10 steps above a shimmer shade in other mainstream brand palettes. They're outstanding and there's such variety. They are not all the same sort of shimmer texture. There are glittery-ish ones, there are creamier ones, there are like high shine, high sparkle ones. They're gorgeous shimmers. And the mattes, like I said, really also feel they've stood the test of time in my mind. Mauves are super in right now. So are these like dusty terracotta shades. And I just feel like overall, this color story is incredible. The only thing that I personally feel is missing from here is a deepening shade that is not this purple sort of plum shade. I wish there were a true brown or a true black in here, just because the only way to get like a truly deep, smoky, dark look is to use this dark plum or this like dark magenta, and both of them automatically make the look purple. So I do wish there were a slightly more neutral deepening shade in here to just pair with, like, for example, this terracotta shade, if it gets mixed with these purpley shades, it turns into more of a cool toned look. And same with the turquoise, there just really isn't a deepening shade that pairs with that really nicely to keep the color true to itself. So that is kind of my only issue with the color story here. Aside from that, I adore it. Despite the fact that these three blues and even some of these purpley shades are pretty far outside my comfort zone, and this gold is a really warm gold for my cool undertones. So there are shades in here that I know are going to be rare uses for me, but they're still beautiful. I still think it's a really nice, well-rounded palette where it's a good combination for me personally. This is like my perfect colorful neutral combo where it has those fun shades to play around when I'm in the mood, but it also has those neutrals, those core colors that are going to be flattering every time. In terms of performance, as I said, I didn't have any issues with any of the shades I've used so far. I've done a mauve look, I've done a warmer toned look, and I've done this purple look that's on my eyes today, and all of the shades performed beautifully. They also swatched beautifully, so even those shades I haven't used yet, like I haven't used the turquoise matte or shimmer, and I haven't used that gold on my eyes yet, they swatched in a way that indicates to me that they're going to perform just as well as the rest of the shades in this palette. I purchased this palette on sale. So it was on sale at Sephora for like $32, and then Sephora was having 20% off your purchase. So I think I got it for $26, and I am over the moon with this purchase for that price. However, normally this palette costs $67. I don't think that I would replace it if I lost it for $67. I don't think that I ever would have gotten around to purchasing it if it were $67, even though I do really like the color story and I heard great things about the formulas, etc. I don't think even now after having used it that I would go back and pay $67 for it. And I say that for a really personal reason. Despite the fact that I think the quality is absolutely there, I actually do think the quality is here and it justifies the price point. I don't think I will get enough use out of some of those more bold, exciting shades to justify a $67 investment. I love the neutral shades. I love the combo. I love the overall color story here. But I realistically could find probably most of these neutral leaning shades somewhere else in my collection. Not all of them, but enough of them to get a similar look, a similar feeling, a similar vibe in my other palettes. So I like the overall color story. I love the performance. I love the quality. I think 67 is justified if you think that every single shade in here is right up your alley. But as someone who knows I won't use or will rarely ever use some of those more bright, bold shades, I don't know that I would personally be able to justify a full price purchase of this product. $26, absolutely sign me up. I could not be more happy that I bought this when it was on that sale. And it's actually still half off at Sephora. So if you want it for $32, which is still not bad, you should definitely check it out because I do think even at that price point, it is well worth the price. Now to the part I'm actually most excited for. I am just going to, on the back of my hand, I'm going to be swatching some color stories that I cannot wait to use. And I will also show you here a couple images of the looks I've already made. So I actually don't think I have a picture of the warm toned look I did. So I'll swatch you a little quad of that one instead using the exact same shades I used because I was just out and about that day and I think I forgot to take a photo. But I will quickly put a photo here of the mauve look I did recently, and I only used a few shades in this palette. So I used this shade here, Crash. I used the shade Off Balance, and then I used the shade Crush up here, and I used this neutral one called Galaxy. So it was just those four. 1, 2, 3, 4 to make the mauve look. And then the look today, I did do this look, live on my speed reviews video. So if you want to see like a little tutorial of it, head over to that video and it's somewhere in the middle of the video when I'm doing my eyeshadow. But the shades are Libra and Vortex Ultraviolet on my lids, and I have Cosmic in my inner corner. So just foreshadows again, really emphasizing the purples here in the palette. And then let me swatch the warm toned one for you as well quickly. Okay, so here was the warm toned look I did. I used the shade Utopia, that peach, that middle shade here, all through my crease. Then I used the shade Karma, that like really nice terracotta shade. I put that in my outer corner, and you can see it's pretty deep, so I was able to keep things warm and smoky without having to dip into these purple shades, which was nice. It's pretty deep on my skin tone, but if you have deeper skin than me, it doesn't really work as a deepening shade, right? And then that absolutely unbelievable, stunning gold down there is the shade here called Gold Glitch. So, so, so gorgeous all over the lids. So that was my warmest sort of look that I thought I could get with this palette probably. And I was really happy with how it turned out. Really, really gorgeous. And I definitely have some other thoughts in mind. So let me do a little bit of swatching and come back with another color story or two that I'm excited to do next. Okay, I had to swatch at least one bluish toned look here, of course. Someday I will get to this. This is just something I have to really work my way up to, but I'm sorry, do you see that shadow? Wild, wild. Okay, so let me talk you through what I've got going on here. So of course, Haze is that blue matte. I think I would do that just through my crease and under my eye as a base for everything else. I would think of it as a base. I don't think it would end up being the standout color, but then I would probably have to gauge how I'm feeling. I think doing both the teal here called Mercury and the purpley-ish shade called Nebula would be too much together. So I'd pick one of those two from that sort of center row, depending on what I want to happen. Because you can see that the turquoise, the actual teal, has kind of a blackened base. Things would get like really smoky really quick with that shadow. Whereas the shade Nebula there, that kind of more like steely gray purple shade, doesn't really have much of a base. And so I think it would be a little lighter, a little brighter, a little more like springy. So it just depends on the vibe I'd want to go for that day, but I'd pick one of those two. And then I would go down here to Supermoon, right? Yeah, Supermoon, and I would put that on my inner corner because you can see it's a really beautiful like light white shade with a tiny bit of a blue flip in there. So I think it would just go really beautifully with this group of shadows. I'm trying to wipe that shadow off and look at this. Oh my goodness. Okay, and then the last look that I've been kind of dying to try with this, but I feel like I need some sort of occasion to do it, is I want to do a berry toned smoky eye. So I only have two shades swatched here, and I swatched them sort of weird on purpose. And it's the shades down here in the corner. This deepest one called Hot Mess the deepest one called Vortex, and the next deepest called Hot Mess. These two berry tones. Now, I'll probably also have to use like this lightest shade to blend them out, maybe even this off balance to kind of blend things just a bit to make sure it's all seamless on the edges. But I swatched them kind of weird like this so that you can kind of think through and imagine what they'll look like when they're kind of blended and buffed. So I would do this deep, deep purple right against my lash line, as deep as I can get it, as deep and smoky as possible. Maybe even blending it with like a black shadow or a black smudgeable eyeliner, like a kohl pencil, to really get it super deep. And then from there, I'd blend up and out using the kind of lighter magenta shade. And I feel like this plus a berry lip would just be like the statement of the century. And I am dying to do it. I don't have any other eyeshadow this pinkish color. So I do have some deep purples, but I don't have anything like this, and so I'm dying to play with it. I like cannot wait. And I have a lipstick that's like that exact color, and I have some like nice neutral blush that I could put with it, and I'm so excited for the day when I finally do that, put some false lashes on. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. So I knew I had to share that one with you as well. So really the things I'm still really excited to do is play a little bit more with the warm tones. Now that I've done a couple cool tone purple looks, I want to play with the turquoises finally sometime, especially that really glittery shade Nebula. I mean, I definitely don't have anything else like that in that sort of a color in my collection. So of course I'm very excited about it. And then something like this, a really beautiful all matte smoky eye. Cannot wait. All right, so that is it. That is my standalone review of this palette. Overall, I do really love this palette. I'm so, so happy I have it in my collection. And thank you so much for being here to watch me talk about it and share my excitement with you when it comes to this very fun color story. I appreciate you watching, and I will see you next time.